I get that little screen to say going live, and then I'll rock and roll. I think we're good to go. Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin's Thursday night live stream, where you come for crypto, neo, news, education opportunities. My name is Lucas.
And my name is Ryan.
I'm Jacob.
And we're excited to share a guest that potentially I think is coming on here at some point in time pretty soon. Will surprise us. Carter from Silk Protocol built on Shade, which we have done videos about in the past, recently and a long time ago. We're very excited to get a chance to, oh, there we go, rock and roll. This is awesome. So why we're excited while he's logging in, just to introduce you to what this is about. This is probably one of the most innovative protocols in all of crypto and all of blockchain. Now, of course, this is coming from not financial advice, not marital advice, not medical advice, not spiritual advice. This is just education, entertainment, information. It's just our research. We're sharing our perspectives and our understandings. Sometimes we get things right, sometimes we get things wrong. So do your own research to BYOB, be your own bank. And with that being said, man, it's a pleasure. I see you're here. Can you hear me, Carter?
I can, absolutely.
Sweet. It's good to have you, man. We're excited to have you. We've covered your protocol a long time ago when we came across it many months ago. You guys have been working on this for a while, and it's how close you are to launch. I'm pretty excited. I'm also glad and grateful. I know you're busy, brother, with everything going on. So thank you for taking the time to kind of hang out and talk about one of the most innovative projects in all of crypto.
100%, and thanks for hosting me, and thanks for being curious about Shade Protocol. I feel like anyone who discovers a project like this early and with like the scope of what we're trying to pull off, I just think that's like super cool. People that find it this early, because how many people in the world actually know about Shade Protocol and Silk at this point? 1,000 people?
Sure.
10,000? 20,000? Like, we're so early,
right?
And the vision is so big, so it's cool to be along for the ride, so to speak.
Well, a lot of people think that crypto blockchain itself is private. They see from mainstream television, they think that, you know, cryptocurrency is used for criminal, nefarious activity, when the reality is wars or drugs or nefarious terrorism, whatever it is, has been funded from cash and money for years and years. And crypto is such a small baby market cap. In a new technology, you don't really have people say, meet me at the docks with your Trezor or Ledger. You know, that the idea that it's a public ledger, and not many people know that blockchain and crypto, whether it's Ethereum or Litecoin or Bitcoin or all of these, you go down the line and they're one big public ledger. You go buy a cup of coffee, that person has your public address. They can find how much is in your wallet, anything you've ever sent. They already run chain analysis. I mean, that's not difficult. So it's kind of weird, Orwellian, and creepy. So I think that it's a problem that if we're going to use blockchain as a legitimate, practical medium of exchange, then this has to be solved. It's not a question of does it matter. It's like when, because until we do, it's not viable.
Yeah, we've actually seen the workaround to lack of privacy on layer ones is people have to essentially re-centralize the process of payments, right? Mm-hmm. So you plug in your ETH or UST or something into like a third-party app that then connects with the merchant, which defeats the whole purpose of the original vision of Bitcoin, which is a truly peer-to-peer transaction platform, right? And it's even more important because now we have applications coming out that have state and data storage, and in some ways privacy is more important in Web 3 than Web 2, because in Web 3 everything's immutable. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it's a permanent trail, an unalterable trail of like who you are and how you interact in all these different applications and transactions. And it's interesting because initially total transparency was like a feature, right? Like that was kind of like, and it is a feature for certain use cases and for certain situations, but to universally 100% of the time not have the granularity to have application layer privacy and control for builders and users, it seems off. It seems like it's gonna slow down adoption from Web 2 to Web 3, and so I'm a firm believer that privacy is the key to unlocking the full value of a decentralized future. In order to bridge Web 2 to Web 3, there has to be privacy, because privacy and security go hand in hand. So the vision for Shade Protocol, this lovely web page you're looking at here, is we are bringing DeFi to privacy, which is distinctly different than bringing privacy to DeFi, which actually I have privacy to DeFi there, and we're going to switch that, because that is, I've been saying bringing DeFi to privacy, and it's funny, projects like this move so quick that even how the language we use evolves as we realize what resonates with audiences and as we've narrowed in on the vision. But bringing DeFi to privacy is distinctly different than what a lot of other privacy applications are doing in other ecosystems, because if you try to add privacy to a totally transparent blockchain, it's an unbelievable uphill battle. Mm-hmm. Whereas on Secret Network, the tech stack was literally designed to be private by default. And so we believe that if we can build all of the key primitives with privacy and connect them, that's going to unlock a whole level of value that's never even thought could be possible. Like, to bring institutional players truly into the game, there has to be on-chain privacy with off-chain auditability and compliance. To truly bridge transactions to the real world in a truly peer-to-peer fashion, there has to be privacy. So the vision is big, and yeah, that's a little bit about Shade Protocol.
Love it, man. And I think so much too about privacy, and the thing that people don't realize is that ultimately it's a human right, and we take it for granted. Just as an example, we're all wearing clothes because we choose to share certain parts of our body, right? And we take that as this kind of thing that is this right that we just have, but really technology hasn't been following that. And I think it's big to emphasize how important privacy is.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of unexpected, benefits that you think, okay, well, privacy at the fundamental layer, that's great for individual utility, right, for the individual person, and keeping perverts from looking into what they're doing. But then when you look at the fact that there's like front running and miner extracted value, and all these ways of gamifying open blockchains, and that's not just limited to crypto. That's you see front running, you see payment for order flow and traditional financial markets as well. So I really kind of feel like it's almost not fully appreciated, how awesome this is, because it's not just about keeping prying eyes. There's also like an entire revenue stream that's potentially extractive.
I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited you say this. So I have a question, Carter. I know you're the researcher and economist. Do you have a background? Did you have a background in economics in university, or is that something that you took on later on?
Computer science and finance, and then also a mathematics background. So I never did like a pure economics related degree, but fell down the rabbit hole very much so.
But definitely like closely related disciplines. So I can see how there's a lot of crossover.
Absolutely.
Very much so. Yeah.
Well, that's what we had.
The privacy I always like to say is like equitable, and because right now, like on totally transparent blockchains, really what it is it's not necessarily an asymmetry of information, but it's an asymmetry of what programmatic wealthy whales are able to act on compared to the average retail user. It's like a totally unfair playing field. When you go and click buy, for 99% of people, they're not running algorithms parsing through mempools to front run people and extract value from everyday users. So in my mind, privacy completely levels that playing field for everyone. There's no longer an asymmetry. When it's totally private, it's the exact same playing field for everyone. So
that's huge, because equity, in perception, the perception that the system you're plugged into is fair, I think that's huge for its sustainability in its future. And because institutions are not these given things, right? They aren't just like, we don't just inherit them. They're just not just fixed, right? We create them, we recreate them, and if we don't believe in them, they can become very fragile. And obviously, we're really into economics as well, and we took that Austrian, Hayekian kind of focus, and in that world, there's a big emphasis on evolution and unplanned order and all that. And I feel like that understanding can also be applied to monetary institutions, and that we've too long have been content with like just planning the monetary institutions and just living with whatever inefficiencies come out of that, right? And it's like the crypto revolution's about finding a better way, and you know,
Absolutely.
obviously. But I feel like what your guys have hit on with privacy is like it's slept on. Just put it that way. It's definitely slept on in the crypto space.
Well, to say slept on is the reality is you scroll down the market cap and you almost can't find one. And you can't find one. And what most people don't know about, and not that it doesn't serve a value and a utility at the moment, none of these have it, none of these have it, none of these have it. This one has it, but like Bitcoin, it's a blockchain. It is not designed to build any kind of applications on top of. So that puts it out of the game for so much. But on top of that, what most people don't know is that it has an inflation bug where people don't know if the original creators, the original address can mint an unknown amount. They can inflate an unknown amount. And from an economics perspective, that's not viable. If you're like, hey, I created this great currency for the world and it works perfectly, except no one will ever know if I can print as much as I want whenever I want. It's like that. You can't do that, buddy. Sorry, we're gonna have to scratch that. Does someone else have an idea? Sorry, Bob, we're not going with that, Bob. It's like,
is this an improvement on what we have now, or a regression? Because at least we know with the Feds, we can look at the public accounting and see kind of what's going on with money supply, whereas with Monero,
I agree with what you were saying, Carter. I think what gets us excited. So you've got the calculating mind for running the tail end distribution, seeing the black swans, trying to crunch it to make sure things are solid and running that. Our background in nerdiness, so to speak, is in conceptualizing the problems that are in industries, understanding where there's a problem and what this is solving. So we get really excited when we see something like this because we see that there's nothing else like this in crypto. Like there's literally nothing else in blockchain and crypto that can do what Secret Network is doing. And then we'll get into it later because I'm excited about when you look at stable coins, algorithmic stable coins that are trying to help move people to something that's more harmonious and ethical and long term. What you guys have done with Silk and keeping with the ethos of Secret Network about being worldwide and appealing to everyone in all languages and all people. I think that the taking that basket of currencies on top of the commodities, and it's funny because I was talking to Ryan, we were talking the other day, and I said, man, I wonder for the commodity basket in the future if they would start adding like Bitcoin and digital assets to be part of it. And turns out I jumped on the Discord and on a wrong meeting, but they let me sit in and listen while they were breaking down, and I got a little bit better understanding. And sure enough. So I have a question for you. As the markets mature, because I know that everything's real thin, and you guys properly made it a small weight due to the volatility of crypto and blockchain, but because it's a DAO, like later on, if you guys wanted to, y'all could change the basket and make it more heavily to the Bitcoin digital assets and less on inflationary national currencies. Is that right?
Yep. I mean, essentially, we want to give the flexibility for Silk to evolve as the global economy as a closed system evolves, right? You just have to have that because we need to design Silk for a macro environment that we can't even picture, right? Like, what happens if a massive war breaks out on a global scale? What happens to all of the different global currencies, all the different commodities, all their relationships? What happens to stablecoins, right? Like, that are just tied to sovereign currency. So obviously that's like a major black swan. I picture it more of a like the US dollar used to have, I believe it was around 70% of global trade volume and like dominance. And that's ticked all the way down to around 30% now from like IMF reports. And it's probably going to continue to tick down as we've seen continued globalization. So it just seems very ironic to me that the flagship product of DeFi is the US dollar when the future of the global economy is so much more than the dollar, which is, you know, for any Federal Reserve watching this, that's not a great thing for me to say, right? But I'm a part of a country that feels the effects of inflation. Like even in the U.S., like we feel it, right? Like even though there's other places in the world where it's way worse, it's still a real phenomenon here. And if we can design a currency that can retain purchasing power better than any currency that's ever been created, and it has privacy, and it's auditable, I mean that's a leap forward.
It's like the best of all worlds, right?
The best of all worlds. Yeah.
I'm glad you bring up the fact that so much of the stablecoins in crypto are just directly tied to the U.S. dollar and how misguided that is, because it really does seem kind of senseless to, because what we're doing with that is we're importing the monetary policy of the Fed, like in a one-to-one basis, right? It's the same problem that foreign nations have when they peg their currencies to the dollar. They're importing that policy, right? And obviously, it's usually to the detriment. So I feel like when I came across you guys' white paper and I read about the globally derived yield derivation in the basket, and I was like, wow, this is in the commodities at the bottom. You know, that is huge. And to be able
this isn't the updated white paper, so I will be releasing like governance is like. I'm super pumped about governance because it's another massive problem that we're trying to leapfrog on. And like there's updated infographics and there's a whole white paper devoted to the basket and like the logic behind it. So
this is
a lot of this white paper is essentially, compared to the research that's continued, I consider what we're looking at here incredibly outdated actually. So but the principles are still there, and there's still like a lot of the truth in here. So we'll be definitely updating that.
Well, there was one part that I wanted to point out, if anyone's checking this out, that I think is important, that I was reading again, because the first time I was just focused on, you know, the makeup of Silk and what you guys are creating. I wasn't paying attention to the secret part of it. And then I read it, I was reading it again, and and then this just really popped out, and I was like, well, this is bullish for secret. And it's your dual burn entry mechanism, and you know, the fact that it's the S secret that's going to be used to help mint this shade and silk as more people understand the value of this. Just like Luna is valued for the more demand there is for UST, which is now, I was going to pull up coin, is that over $10 billion. I think UST is the largest decentralized stable coin, and you know, so you see how the potential. I mean, this is huge. What you guys are behind, obviously, this is really the future of crypto and blockchain. Whether it's for private use, commercial use, you're able to export your information and have that data for audits if you need to, and you're also able to operate in a normal private way as people have forever, you know, and ever. It's like you meet, so I was like, sure, do you want, okay, great, here you go, all right, see you later. It's like saying a sentence. It was nice to see you. Nice to see you too. It goes, you know, let you know, I mean, you know, the universe, nothing goes away from the universe, but still, like, we don't need like to have a record, you know, like some report where everyone could just go back and say, what did they say on the street? That it's like, that's a little over the top, right?
Yeah.
So
I always think back to the Panopticon, right? That prison technology of the 360 view, right? With the center of the command post. And it seems like blockchain technology, while designed, you know, to be a freeing and liberating force, it has this flaw that would, you know, if not dealt with, this privacy issue, if it's not adequately dealt with, it's almost creating like a Panopticon. I mean, it's like the tool can be, you know, you could heat fire, you can warm your food, or you can burn something. It can be used for good or bad. And I feel like the blockchain is in that same way. And if this issue with public, you know, information is not somehow managed, then the great tool can turn into be a great tool for you know, not such great things.
I think it's a really interesting. I'm always curious to see how like existing governments on the regulatory side play with total transparency, because a lot of them don't necessarily like the technology. So you sometimes see them say, ooh, like there's no privacy, right? But at the same time, like the total transparency is like kind of a lucrative like model if they can implement it, but implement in a way where like it plays to to the existing power structure. So I'm really curious to see how the privacy narrative gets misused by existing power structures, because it will. I guarantee it. They're gonna use it as like
you'll see terrorism.
We see
terrorism
a huge
will be
thing
the theme.
with money laundering being the quote unquote thing that is so massive in crypto. But there's been recent reports to account for that less than 5% of all transactions is in all of crypto is money laundering, and it's insane to see that coming from.
And then you got the Panama Papers and all that, right?
Well, that's
right
why
after the Panama Papers. Yeah.
That's why we do a lot of education on our channel, because a lot of it is just ignorance. Even from we did a video recently about the Senator Elizabeth Warren and her fears or claims about the risks of crypto and blockchain.
Stablecoins.
Super shadowy coders,
Stablecoins, right? And then it turns out, as more people fact checked what she said, it realized it was unnecessary and it was ridiculous. And so she's quieted down. I think a lot of the fears that come out about the worries of crypto and blockchain, whatever narrative, it's really with a little bit of light, just a little bit of light in teaching people how things really work. Then they melt away because they're unrealistic. And for example, I have this pulled up. This is the whole stablecoin market capitalization. So what that means is that the value of all of the stablecoins out there in all of crypto comes out to $172 billion. $172 billion. Now, that's great for crypto. We've been following it. Wow, we hit $1 trillion. It's a big deal. Ooh, $2 trillion. In the world of finance, in the world of world banks, in the world of the
$100 billion, shoot.
In the world of the billionaires, the trillionaires that are out there moving markets and involved in lobby groups and have been involved in, it's like the whole crypto market's still a baby, and even the stablecoin market is still young, and so when we talk about volatility, it's like there's volatility in the traditional markets with how the interest rates and the inflation and the decisions lately and what's been going on. So imagine how volatile you can find a thin market that doesn't have that amount of volume and mass.
Could you change that chart to all time? I'm just curious. It's on the 90-day mark. If you go to all for the market.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's on 90-day mark.
Yeah, if you switch to all. Curious what
the high was.
Well, it's
because the point I was gonna make is the real thing that financial markets are afraid of. It's not the current market capitalization. It's the network effect, right? Because if you think about adoption curves, like that's why they are so fearful, because this can happen so quick, right?
Sure.
It already has kind of come out pretty fast, to become hit $1 trillion market cap, right? Well, it was last year, or is it? So and that happened,
I would still state that even what we enjoy right now is heavily subsidized. If Elon Musk and SpaceX and Tesla is subsidized, make no mistake that the whole crypto market is heavily pumped and subsidized, because there's Michael Saylors. There are huge industries that are coming in and pumping in a lot more money than I've been able to most of
it's the everything bubble, right? You got a real estate bubble, you have a stock bubble, you have a bond market bubble, you have a crypto. I mean, everything is inflated, right? Because no one wants to be in cash in an inflationary environment. Right, you want to get an asset.
This is one of the best in really crypto markets for smart money or whatever you want to call it. This is the best industry, the best market, the best potential, what's going to be around. So that's why it's growing so rapidly. But when the market's correct, as we've lived to see, for the ability for it to correct 80 to 90% or 70% is real. It's real. That happens, and if it were to happen again, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be like, what? It went from 60,000 or 66 all the way to 25,000. And if I saw that happen, I would say this is a buying opportunity. Only because 25,000 in traditional finance terms, you go back when I first, actually made the plunge in 2017, right? $2,000 was the high for Bitcoin. It ran up, it rocketed to $20,000 before correcting and crashing. So if you now have a correction that comes
to the previous peak.
If to the previous parabolic peak. Other people see it coming down to 20,000 or 25 and they think, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I see this from just a market, just a healthy perspective. And I'm like, if your new floor is the parabolic high, get ready to rocket ship, because now you're going from whatever, if it's 28,000, 27, 20, whatever, 32, whatever that number is, because I don't have the crystal ball, but it's gonna, whatever that correction, because they breathe, there's a rhythm, but I still...
It's easier for the 2017 crowd to say that, right? Because right? So I always put myself back into 2017, late 2016, 2017, where I was like, man, I felt a lot of fear. I had to question like everything and still have conviction. So now that we're where we are now, it's like, oh yeah, like if it doesn't,
let it happen.
But we're saying that from a position of like we were early, and so like our cognitive biases are. Compared to what everyone else is playing with that's new, it's a whole different set. But like I do agree with you. We're so neutral that we can zoom out and be like, yeah, this is nothing. Like we've seen worse. But for them,
you're right.
That is the worst.
You're right, but I bought a top, and now it was still going up when I bought the top, so I was fortunate, but I lived through it, and you mature. No matter how much you study in books, or no matter, you mature when you're in a market. You have to kind of experience it and live through it, and understand the media, the trends, the emotion, the cycle, and having just kind of lived through some of it. I know I learned from listening to other people, listening to them come out and share and explain. So having lived through it and listened to others, it's really just kind of sharing and imparting. Like, this is most likely these things happen, and when they do, this is why the word hodl doesn't just mean ride up all the massive gains.
Hodl means holding throughout that bear market.
Hodl means zoom out a decade and realize it's gonna be okay.
Take a long-term view.
That's definitely why I try to lock up funds as any way I can. Me personally, it's just, I think it's easier
staking.
In the DeFi
it takes away the emotional
with staking, because it takes away that ability for me to feel that fear, because I already did it. Can't touch it now.
That reminds me, locking up funds reminds me of staking, which brings me to proof of stake, which brings me to miner extracted value again, because I remember reading that miner extracted value is something that even in proof of stake, even though it's not mining, that validators will be able to actually front run. So what many people don't realize is that even if you're in a proof of stake situation, if it does not have the secret network privacy built in, you're going to have, and here's where Ryan and I get nerdy about this stuff. It's like other people see how much money's being made right now, so they don't care about the problems. It's like if you're driving on a car with a flat tire, but you're passing up the horses, you don't care. But there's someone saying like, yo man, you're gonna break the axle, like stop that. You can't, that's not a solution. You just can't keep driving on a flat tire. Other people are like, no man, just put the pedal to the metal. This is great. We'll just get a new car and leave it. And that's kind of like what a lot of blockchain and crypto's at right now. It's not, they're driving cars without headlights and windshield wipers or windshields, or without, fully, aired up tires. And secret network, although it's still young and early and is still hiring developers and building out its infrastructure, it took the time to make sure that the tokenomics, that the game theory, that the design was actually right. Not to jump in and make money quick, but to actually build something that was going to be feasible and usable for the real world for a long time.
It's a great point you bring up about MEV from validators. Because one of the things I'm fascinated about, and I've heard a couple of people like Sonny Arwal start to mention stuff like this, but multi-chain MEV, right? Like you literally could have validators colluding with relayers, and like transaction triggered over here, and like they can front run cross-chain DeFi stuff, which is like that whole ecosystem hasn't even developed yet, right? Like that's all going to come online the next 2-3 years, but this front running problem just it's not going to be contained to a single chain. It's also going to involve interactions between chains and the entities that choose to financially profit from front running. So it's I am very curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it makes me also, it's kind of like the gas problem. You know, we were all so content with our $10, $15, $20 gas fees on Uniswap, and now we're looking back on it and think, oh hell, that was actually a lot of money. You know, and I feel like the MEV problem fits that same kind of framework in the sense that, yeah, people might not think of it as being a big burden right now, but when you zoom out and we look at what that cost is going to look like at a 10 trillion market cap of crypto in general, you know, that's going to be a different number.
People are willing to pay a premium for new tech. It's like when you go and get a new Apple phone, but it's buggy, right? People are okay with all the things that aren't smoothed over. But over time, when other products pop up to offer a similar situation and cheaper price and less bugs, then like people start. And I think like the transfer from Ethereum to Cosmos, you could draw some sort of analogy to those types of tech adoption curves with the bugginess and those things that don't get smoothed out right away. So
yeah, you experience that when you're on Cosmos or Osmosis is one of my favorite IBC chains to do swaps and stuff on. It's so smooth and so clean, so quick and free. Yeah. It's like free, like there's no cost. it's hard to wrap your mind around that. You know,
every time I go back to using Uniswap or a different chain, my heart drops when I look at the fee. Yeah,
you're right.
No, Osmosis, when I first started using Osmosis, that really made DeFi, it's like make DeFi fun again. It made DeFi fun again because you could all of a sudden, you could provide, that's when I was able to make a video to teach people how to provide liquidity, because a lot of the other platforms like Ethereum, it becomes so costly, where I had made tutorials before. Now I know that there's other layer ones, but it just got so ridiculous. Even on another layer, you can only do so much. Whereas Osmosis, it's free. It's free. You can claim your stakes every single day if you'd like to, and compound. So it helps people teach about compounding rewards, compounding interest. Like the best way to learn is to do it, and they make it to where it's fun. It's like just click the button. We put it right into your wallet. It's right here in your wallet. It just racks up day after day. So that's
yeah. I love in the IBC and Secret and Shade as well. It's like they're showing us what crypto can be, and it's going to take this kind of innovation to get the rest of the buggy, inferior products to kind of like take notice and say, oh shit, we got to, or pardon my French, but we got to actually start innovating, because this what we're doing right now is not going to work if what they're doing is going to take away our market share.
Yeah. And make no mistake, we'll look back on Osmosis and Shade Protocol, and it will be outdated tech at some point, probably more rapidly than we care to admit. And so then it's up to those platforms to continue to not settle, right? And they keep problem solving. So
exactly, keep the churn going.
I love how easy they made it to show people how easy it was to transfer from IBC channels from one chain to the next. It's simple. I use it a lot to show people how to acquire Secret if you're looking for ways to transfer from with Luna and Cosmos. Atom are the easiest to get in the world of DeFi and crypto. So it's a seamless way, and it's also a great way, if they're used to that, to learn how to use the Secret wrapper, because basically that's what all these IBC channels are. They're wrappers for their own relative channel. Whether you call it deposit or withdraw or wrap, Secret has a unique feature because you deposit and you wrap it, so it's got that extra. But it functions the same way, where it's so clean, the user interface. You just click a button, and it goes right there.
Yeah, I wanted to ask one question about the synthetics, the shade and synthetics. I was reading the white paper, and this looks really fascinating. I haven't yet to take any positions on any synthetic protocols, but if I am, I'm curious. Is this going to be launching along with everything else, or is it coming later? Or
so we already
Good.
We have a whip up on our GitHub for it. So because pretty much when I was researching the stablecoin market, I kind of had the realization that the problem that Terra Luna solved from shifting away from over collateralized models could also be applied to synthetic assets. The only difference is instead of targeting a stable peg, you're targeting a moving peg of a volatile asset. Right now, the analogy I always like to use is like, would you, like, there's people that they lock up $150 worth of collateral, they mint out $100 worth of a synthetic, and they liquidity provide it, right? That's risk profile number one. Risk profile number two is just buy the synthetic and liquidity provide it. And in that situation, you're not in a leveraged position, right? Because you just bought the asset and going liquidity. That's risk profile number two. So between these two risk profiles, there is a risk premium that's emerged for synthetic assets on like Mirror Protocol and UMA. And they've tried to create markets to try to like short this pricing premium that exists because of fundamental architecture, right? The risk exists because of the architecture itself. So the realization I had was if we can apply the Terra Luna algorithmic model to synthetics, that risk premium disappears because expansion of the synthetic asset is based off of the fundamental demand for the synthetic asset itself, which is huge because if we reduce pricing premiums, like if we have synthetic wheat or synthetic gold, and we can decrease that premium from 15% to 0%, that's like a significantly better end user experience. And we add privacy on top of this entire synthetics creation and conversion minting market. We use Band Protocol, all their data feeds. We actually have an announcement tomorrow. This is some real alpha of another partner on the Oracle side of things. So stay tuned for that. We're excited to announce that with Shade Protocol. And so, yeah, we're super pumped for synthetics, and it's not going to take us like 5 months to code it up because we're just taking an existing model and we're generalizing it to essentially we can tokenize any asset or instrument in the world that has a data feed. If you have a stabilizer token and enough of an arbitrage community and enough demand for the synthetic asset, you have a sustainable system into perpetuity. There's obviously like significant risk attached to this model because no one has done this before. So we're going to be the first to do it. It's funny because Sunny Arwal actually proposed this for Ion. There was like this tweet thread and I kind of like hopped in there and was like, actually, like, I've been talking about this for like 6 months. This model is not new. So I hate to say it, we weren't the first to come up with it. And also the way they're doing it is a little bit riskier. What's proposed is that you could conversion mint between Ion and any given set of synthetic assets. The problem with that is if one synthetic fails, essentially the market capitalization of Ion would have to get used to push those synthetic assets back to peg, and you could like destroy the entire system if you have like a black swan attached to a single synthetic. Whereas the synthetic model I proposed, every synthetic asset has a unique stabilizer token with it. So that if one synthetic asset fails, the whole system doesn't break. It's just like one single one broke, and it doesn't cause that.
They're not chained together.
Exactly. So there's lots of value accrual mechanisms. Probably the most exciting part is like shade stakers are the ones that are going to receive those stabilizer token airdrops every time the synthetics launch. So that'll be fun. We'll have bond markets for those stabilizer tokens. The DAO will be capturing value on all this stuff. So it's
that's exciting.
It's coming out right after mainnet. I would give it like a month and a half because like we already have a proof of concept contract already, and it's just gonna come down to getting the audit done and making sure we have everything ironed out. And then it's gonna be very experimental. We're not gonna launch like 20 pairs. Sure. We view this as a pit stop with other primitives that we have in the works that may or may not already be being built out that I can't talk about. So like if we try this new model and we're the first in the world to do it and it breaks, it's like great learning lesson. There was lots of risk. Yeah, we did it for the world of crypto. We tried it, but if this works, it completely changes the entire synthetics market. Wow. So,
and it can be replicated obviously in other ways. Very cool. Could you go into the stabilizer asset a little bit? Is that going to be Shade or Silk or how does that work?
Essentially, they're their own unique stabilizer token per synthetic. So if you have synthetic gold, you'd have stabilizer gold, synthetic wheat, stabilizer wheat. Okay. And it's the conversion minting between those pair of assets that creates the stability ultimately.
Okay. So you can convert from one to the other. And then that'll create like an arbitrage sort of opportunity or effect, right?
Exactly. Yep. And the other stability mechanism we're adding in is like, and this is why some of this is still tentative. So right now, for the Shade DAO, treasury collateral plus staking collateral is deposited into an arbitrage contract that also arbs the open market. So you have retail arbitrage, institutional arbitrage, staking collateral, and treasury collateral all helping maintain Silk's peg. We have not decided yet if we want to add that stability mechanism to all of the synthetic pairs, because it seems like that's a significant amount of risk to potentially take on. But depending on the size of the DAO, once again, this white paper is a little bit outdated here.
Yeah.
If we get, because there's going to be bond sales from the treasury, we're going to be pulling in all these uncorrelated assets. We have the entry minting, pulling in collateral, transactions generate collateral for the treasury. If one day you had like $100-200 million treasury or multi-billion-dollar treasury, it seems very feasible that you could put, $1 billion to securing synthetic assets and helping secure those pegs. But that's a lot of it's very theoretical, and we don't have the flexibility until we've achieved a treasury of that size. So I think the best game plan is just launch one synthetic. We see how it plays out. Be very, very careful with it. Keep building out other primitives that are known. And as we accrue more value on the treasury, maybe we begin to take a leap of faith as the community to also commit to putting a portion of capital to helping ARB and maintain the peg. So lots of experimentation. That's what we're doing. It's very experimental.
Well, that's the whole. I mean, that's kind of what we've. That's one of the arguments against over-regulation, right? Is that you don't allow those experiments, and you never know what you would have discovered, right? And there's lots of opportunity costs there. So I'd love to see experimentation. That's how cool things are discovered, and
That reminds me.
Kudos for you guys.
Speaking of experimentation in this, so I think that for a healthy environment, I think of being able to, because I'm not a maximalist, so to speak, and I think maximalism is kind of contradictory, self-defeating. I mean, in the world of blockchain and crypto, and I say that because in the history of stablecoins as dollars, so to speak, there is a time, or was a time, where you could have many people walking around with silver coins or gold coins from Spain or France or England, and it didn't matter because an ounce is an ounce of gold. And so there was a resilience, because if someone was trying to chip or deflate or mint the coin, there were other minters that were there to make sure, well, I'm not going to use that piece of junk because it's usually got a chip in it.
It's clipped.
And it's clipped. So the idea is that we're all better off being able to choose from more than one computer or more than one phone or more than one television. So is there going to be, you think that there's going to be an influx of FRAX, or they already have UST, and I'm not saying FRAX, I'm just giving an example, but I would love to see other experiments of stable coins that are using digital assets or commodities or other things that they can do to help create an answer. Just like privacy is a human right, we're looking at blockchain and what it can do to actually make the world a better place. Like, we really do. We actually, for the tech, sure, it's great to be able to ride the network effects and Metcalfe's law and be in on something early and to enjoy those benefits. But if you're left with something that's making the world worse off, then I don't want any part of that. And the whole joy of blockchain and crypto is seeing from people having a background and understanding how the monetary system works and banks. This is a breath of fresh air. We're seeing technology that can truly revolutionize the way human beings exchange value. Like, all of us, we're all in it together. No matter where you live, what language you speak, what power you have in your community or wherever, we're all trying to make it through and take care of ourselves and our families. And right now, we're living in a world where a few people choose how much money needs to be printed, when, where. So maybe if we can move to more decentralized, equalized playing fields that communicate more efficiently to everybody, and store that value efficiently. And that's why I see here with Secret Network and what you guys are building out. You're building out an alternative, like what Ryan likes to talk about all the time, the Buckminster Fuller quote. What is it?
Yeah. Don't
when you don't
change things. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like that. Don't instead of trying to change something, just build something else to make it obsolete. Instead of fighting something and trying to change it,
just make something that's different, better, outside of, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like it's such a good way of approaching things. Like one thing I always tell myself, and I think I've read this before, is like you have to make something like 5 to 10x better the existing structure for people to actually make the jump, right? So if we had a privacy preserving dollar stablecoin, would have been, cool. We added on privacy. But like that's not truly a revolutionary leap forward in some ways, right? So the willingness to have it be an algorithmic stablecoin that also has privacy, that's also pegged to a back. Like I feel like Silk, the branding, the community, like I really do believe this thing can take off, and it's going to be on the back of the fact that this is something that's so different from anything else out there, right? That's ever been tried. So
Yeah.
Well,
I hope others continue to do the same. I hope Silk's just the first. I hope the stablecoin market evolves where people are like, yeah, no doubt I'm going to hold this instead of the dollar. And then hopefully other stablecoins with their own models jump out, aren't pegged to the dollar, and we just see this renaissance of non-dollar stablecoins and what I would call Web3 stablecoins in the truest sense of the words, right? Because those Web3 stablecoins haven't really existed in the innovative sense. We're just mirroring the traditional legacy system. So let's make truly Web3 stablecoins and see where that takes us.
Let's decouple, right? Yeah, I agree. That's why we're so fascinated with Silk for sure, and why we were fans with Luna as well early on, and we're also fans of MIM too, so we gotta throw that out there. But specifically Silk, the privacy preserving element, as well as being decoupled from just having a narrow straight peg to the dollar. That's innovative, right? And I am excited about this, and I agree. I'd like to see other projects kind of mimic what kind of ideas. Because what's the old saying? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So let's see it happen. Yeah.
I dig it.
Sure.
Well, anything else we want to touch on? Anything you want to drop hints or anything you want to leave us or our audience as we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd add is like we're starting to see more and more builders want to build around and with Shade Protocol. So this dream started with 1 or 2 people. It became 5, 10 people, and now it just seems to be blowing up. And so if you're a developer or if you're a user, just like join the community, bring your creativity. I think our the problems never end.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most significant problems we want to tackle is governance. And governance is obviously like an insane uphill battle in the world of Web3. So I've put a lot of research and time into what's going to be coming out, and I'm excited to share about kind of the governance model that we're proposing. The fundamental problems we see in blockchain with governance is like you have to have a DAO that's flexible enough to do everyday actions to grow a treasury, right? But you have to do it in a way that end users are still the ones that hold the accountability. So how can you solve for fluidity of a DAO doing things in the name of all the token shareholders, because that's the 100% aligned incentive, while also still having it be democratic, flexible, and fair and flexible in its own right. So we have some unique solutions on that, but we need more people. We need people to just like really think about how we can take that massive leap forward in governance. Because think about this, a huge percentage of third world nations haven't scaled actually because of governance, right? Like in our real world, there's examples of it. So I have a theory that like blockchains will only be able to scale so far in a similar vein if they don't solve governance. So for me, it's like life and death. Like we can do all these other beautiful tech things, but like we have to be able to have scalable governance that can handle Silk being in 1 billion different wallets, right? And the whole DAO having 20 plus financial primitives all running in parallel to each other. Like
this kind of reminds me of the miner extracted value problem with Secret. It's like it's a narrow solution to a narrow problem, but if you do crack that nut, this could be ported over and be applicable across human civilization, right? It's not just a DAO problem you're talking about. This is a human problem with human organizations, right? So yeah, I'm excited about that, and this is the subject you're talking about right now is kind of where my interests lie. Dealing with incentives and game theory and you know, institutional design, and how all these things feed back into each other, and you know that. So you're talking my language. This is fascinating.
We should hop on a call sometime.
Yeah.
We could hop on a call for like 30 minutes, and we can just like I'd love to show you through what we got going.
It'd be fun.
Going on. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, exciting stuff.
We'll definitely hop on more. Pardon me.
Yeah.
We'll definitely hop on more calls with you, brother. Because we're really excited about what you guys are building, and we're really excited about. Actually, we've taken the initiative to just go ahead and stay on top of, use our channel to dedicate to Secret Network. I mean, we're going to cover crypto because we love the technology and what's going out there, but because of what Secret offers that's so unique in the privacy and what else can be built on it, like you've said, that it makes a lot of other things out, everything else kind of boring and flat and stale, and not, it's like, yeah, I understand how it's fun once you get your first Web 3.0 wallet and you can provide liquidity and you can do all this and click a button. It's fun. Yes, that's true. But you got flat tires, man. You need to come over here to a blockchain where there's privacy. And I'll say something else that you guys got going on for you, brother. By the way, congratulations. Congratulations on everything you guys have accomplished, because I know we're getting close. The airdrop calculators here for people to check out.
Multi-chain airdrop, which is way more difficult than people think, and the UX for it is gonna be it's gonna be game changing, because there's some wizardry that's been done by some of the devs using Secret Network permits on the claim process. That's like unique. So it's gonna be. I'm very excited for the feedback on the UX when we do the launch.
Well, I'm going to send some love out to all the Secret Network devs on everything you're doing out there, because I remember kind of leaving a wallet alone a couple of years ago because I was like, well, I'm not sure what's going on here right now. It was the Secret Swap early days and provide some liquidity, and just kind of walked away because I was... And I kind of, that's why my story is, I was looking and researching other things in crypto world, and I kind of came back to Secret a little late, slept at the wheel, and it was I guess last quarter of the last year, and I started picking back into it again and saw how much had developed in it, and I was like, oh, I remembered why I fell in love with it in the first place, you know. And so it's just exciting to see what you guys have done with so many people, stash NFTs, you know. We
didn't even touch on any of that. And that's a whole other video.
I mean, I got so much to touch on. We've got the Huobi listing for Secret, and we've got the $400 million ecosystem funding. There's
I work for the Secret Foundation, by the way. So there's like, I could have talked Secret Network for like, if you go up to a blog post, if you scroll up
here
to the top, to the far right, and just click on blog under Secret Network. You probably can't see because you're zoomed. Far right, yeah. I've written 90% of those, so like,
nice.
I'm the one that does all the blogs, all the monthly ecosystem updates. I'm the person that gathers. I sit down for like 5-10 hours, literally gathering like the year in review, the 2020 year review. That thing took me so long because there's just so much development happening on Secret Network in 2021. In every single month, so
that was a very useful review. We did a video on that.
Oh, sick!
Thank you.
Yeah, we love it, man. Your work is great. Thank you very much for all the work that you do to add value to the community and to get out there and to spread the good word. I look forward to being able to keep these conversations with you going, man, because like you said, it's fun to be able, not a lot of people in the world can you talk about this stuff with. Not a lot of people really appreciate it. You know, we came here, we were glad to have you on, really not to grill or to question, you know, just to have a conversation and just to kind of let it flow, because we're really appreciative of what you guys are trying to build and what you guys are building and creating. So, yeah.
Yeah. It was a great conversation, and if you guys want to talk with more Secret Network people, I'm definitely happy to help connect you guys. You probably already have connected with a lot of them, but I think really interesting problems like Alter is awesome. Jackal. You should also check out Jackal.
Because, by the way, Jackal's going to be on next week. So if you guys are watching our Thursday live stream next week, we're going to have Jackal, because Carter's telling you, he's giving you the alpha. I mean, the reality is just as Shade and Silk are revolutionizing stablecoins and privacy for synthetic assets and what can be built, you've got Jackal DAO for private data storage, medical data. I mean, what can be built on there?
A whole bunch of services.
Whole bunch of services, right? And I, like you just said, man, I meant to put, I have all these tabs pulled up because you're right. Alter. Where's that Alter tab? There's an article somewhere around here that, here it is. There it is. They're in the middle of a public sale. So right now you can go to Sienna and you can participate. Unless you're in the US, then you have to wait. But that's cool. Wait a week because we've got a video on the Infinity Pool where you come over to Secret Swap and bada bing. You can come over to Secret Swap and you can get Alter and you can join. You can get add liquidity and they've got a special Infinity Pool going on. So there's so much exciting, man. You talked about how much you had to write. When I first started saying, you know what, I'm going to cover Secret Network. I'll just do a video. Every day there was so much news coming out. There was so much news coming out. I was like, right.
What did I sign up for?
I'm going to do another video. I got another thinking. Well, there's so much innovation happening at once, and it's exciting. These are good times. So regardless, the market cycles, prices are irrational in the short run, and they'll go up and they'll go down. But one of the lessons, if there's anyone new to the crypto space and blockchain, I would share out there is when the markets are consolidating or in a bear market, that's the best time to look into the projects you support and to stay abreast of what's going on, because that's when you find the projects that are worth their salt, that are actually developing. They're actually adding value. They didn't run away with a rug pull. That's when you can find what's going on. And
also where you find the communities too,
yes,
that are like rock solid during bear markets. So yeah,
it's true. You kind of see the it's easy to it's like a person you meet. It's easy to be attracted to somebody when they're having a good day. It's catch somebody on a bad day and then you see who they are, And it's like the same thing with crypto communities. It's like, it's easy to have all this enthusiasm and hype when we're in a bull market and everything's going up. But when you see development and activity and community, sustaining itself through bear markets, that's the gem, right?
Mm-hmm. I think you could have a whole investment thesis on just identifying those communities and you would win big. Like regardless of the tech, I think that would be like a really interesting experiment if someone could come up with some like qualitative.
Kind of isolating the network effect, right? Mm-hmm. Is what that would be.
Anyways, I gotta roll out, guys. But Wise Beyond Bitcoin, great channel. Be sure to subscribe, everyone. And thank you for being such gracious hosts. That was super fun. And if you ever want to chat again, just let me know. Love what you guys are doing. Love the organic conversations. And yeah, good stuff.
Thank you. Be well, my friend.
Yep. Bye.
Take care.
So that was awesome, man. That was great conversation. I was looking forward to this, and that turned out to be what a wonderful way to.
I think that was probably my favorite crypto interview of this year.
I think so.
Not to step on anybody's toes, but no. I enjoyed it. That was good.
That was awesome. That's a good sign, a good omen of things to come for the rest of the year. I look forward to Jackal DAO, and there's some other surprises, some other secrets of maybe who we'll bring up after that, but we'll continue to bring some of the developers, the builders, the creators in Secret Network, in the community, so that you can stay abreast of the alpha, what's going on, and to ask questions and to learn about it. We have all these tabs that we were going to talk about. Didn't get a chance to because that was just such a great time. That was awesome.
Yeah, we had too many other things that we needed to talk about.
And that just means we have time to make videos about this stuff and drop them on our channel later.
Exactly.
So, do we have really anything else that we want to talk about, or are we just save for videos? You want to wrap it up?
I think we got it all.
All right.
That was good.
All right.
Let's save it for next time.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening, or whenever you watched it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, the like, all that good stuff. And until the next time, have a beautiful day, and namaste, y'all.
Take care. Thank you.